So we're going to make a lemon herb finishing salt. This is great for putting onto things like fish or onto your vegetables, just to give a little punch of flavor at the end of your cooking for your meal. You just put it on the table as well, and people can add it to whatever they want to. It's really good on potatoes actually too. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to chop up some herbs. So we have about a 1/4 cup of fresh thyme, a 1/4 cup of sage leaves, and a 1/4 cup of rosemary leaves here. I'm just going to actually dump them all out onto the cutting board, and we're just going to give them a quick through. If you have a food processor and you want to put them all into a food processor and chop them up that way, you can definitely do that if it's a little faster for you. I'm just going to run my knife through really quick for these ones. So there's the thyme. I'm actually just going to leave it on here because I'm going to be mixing it all up anyway. And then we'll do the rosemary next. And same thing, just going to run your knife through it so that you're chopping it up. You want it to be fairly fine, just so we can get all of those flavorful oils, and because we don't want to have big chunks on our salt at the end of this. So there's our rosemary as well, and then we'll do our sage. And this one I'm going to do a little neater. Sage can be tricky. Yeah, and like I say, fairly fine. And then we can put them all together and kind of mix them up as we are chopping them a little bit as well. And you want to make sure that your knife is pretty sharp when you're doing this. It just helps them cut a little bit easier, especially when you're working with these herbs that are a bit more woody, which makes them great to work with when you're flavoring salt, but it also means that they take a little bit more effort to chop up really fine. Good. Okay, so then we're going to take all of this onto a tray, just lined with parchment paper. Okay, and we're going to dump our salt into the center of the tray. And this is just coarse sea salt. You could use kosher salt, you could use any salt that you really enjoy, but that is nice for more finishing. So not as much the table salts, but a nice flaky salt is really good. And then we're going to put this right on top. Okay. And then we're going to take 4 lemons and we are going to zest them right on top of the salt and the herbs. So I'm using a rasp zester. You could use the smallest side of your box grater as well, but anything that gets it really, really small. And we're just going to go right across the top, nice and light, and it's going to go right into the salt so that as this is zesting, all of those lemon oils are going to go right into the salt again as well, so you're not losing any of that flavor. And even though we're only using the zest, don't throw out your lemons. When you're done with them, just juice them, and then you can save the juice for another use. Again, if you can serve it with fish, or you can add it into any of your fruit desserts as well, just to give it a little extra punch of flavor. And you're trying to make sure that you're not getting any of the white pith as well, because that's pretty bitter. So just making sure you're only getting the peel on the outside. Good, and then just top it off. And then we're just going to use our hands and we're just going to mix it all together. So you want to kind of squish the, or pinch the salt between your fingers, getting it flavored with all of the lemon zest and the herbs, so that it's really, really well mixed. Oh, it looks so pretty with the yellow and the green all mixed up in there. And it smells amazing. I wish you could smell it right now. Good. Okay, and then from there, just going to spread it out so it's in a fairly even layer across the entire tray. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put this in our oven at 250 degrees for about 15 minutes. And you want to leave it in there for that long so that it completely dries out. So after 15 minutes, you can check it and make sure that after it's cooled for a second, so you don't burn your fingers, that it is completely dry. If there's any clumps, you can break them up with your fingers. And then when you're done and the whole thing is completely dry, you can put it into a jar and serve it for dinner. Okay? It's just another nice way of adding some flavor to your meal.